Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy, and I will be discussing the importance of sleep. And we're thinking, of course, sleep is important. It's something that we do every single night, and we spend maybe 1/3 of our lives doing. But are we doing it right? Are we getting the amount of sleep that we need every single night? I'll also be discussing the negative impacts that poor sleep can have on us physically and mentally, ways to better our sleep quality, sleep and sleep quantity, and the importance of good sleep. Now, just out of curiosity, how many hours do you sleep? You can let me know in the comments or in the chat box. Do you get around 4 to 6 hours of sleep each night? Or do you sleep around 7 to 9 hours? Well, according to the National Sleep Foundation, it is recommended that we get 7 to 9 hours each night. I personally do not sleep 7 to 9 hours. At most, I'm in the 4 to 5 range of hours that I sleep every single night. And something that I've noticed, and we should all take notice too, is that the negative impacts it can have on us. You might be thinking, how can poor sleep impact us? Well, it impacts our mental health for one. We're just at higher risk of depression and anxiety. It also leads to us being just lacking motivation. Might have this big assignment due the very next day, or just a project that you have to get done and probably get started on, but because you're lacking the motivation, you're kind of worrying about it in the back of your head, and you just kind of leads to you beating yourself down about it, but you're just too tired to get it done. I think one obvious one I think that we've all experienced, I've noticed from other people, not only ourselves, is just how easily irritated we tend to get. A lot of small things will kind of just bottle up and kind of lead us to explode when it could have been easily solved to begin with. And at the end of the day, you probably will be kind of regretting not getting enough sleep. You probably think, was that 1 hour or 2 hours of sleep that I sacrificed for something else, was it really worth it? Because this can also impact our physical health. And if we're not sleeping the right amount or properly, our body can't fight off any type of immune diseases that could be building up in our bodies. So it makes us more at risk of health problems, or once again, heart diseases or autoimmune problems, and also impacts our memory. Once again, you probably sacrifice maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep to cram in more information for a test, but in the day of the exam, you can't seem to remember almost half of the things you studied, but you know you looked at the information the night before. All you could picture is the paper where you were reading the information, but not the information that was on it. And what if I told you that was because maybe you thought sacrificing some sleep was better than getting the proper sleep in? Because when we are sleeping, also our brain soaks in information, or most important information that we probably learned throughout the days, and throws out anything that is not of importance. So when you're ever once again in the middle of a test and you can't remember what you studied the night before and you were up at 3 a.m., it was probably because you were up at 3 a.m. and that sacrificing a few hours sleep was more important. We are doing more harm than good when we do that. So I might be asking, well, how do I better my sleep quality and my sleep quantity? Well, for one, the difference between sleep quantity and sleep quality is that for sleep quality, it's not only the amount of hours that you sleep. You could get your 7 to 9 hours, but it does not mean that you wake up refreshed. Because when you're sleeping, you could wake up multiple times throughout the night. Maybe you have one night where you kind of wake up hourly, but when you officially wake up for the day, you're going to feel extremely tired because your sleep quality wasn't good. Obviously, with the sleep quantity, it's just the amount of hours that you sleep throughout the night. Well, how do you better your sleep quality of sleep and your sleep hygiene? Well, all of these tips are recommended by the National Sleep Foundation. As mentioned at the start, it is important and is recommended that you sleep your 7 to 9 hours. One thing as well, which I think we're all guilty of, is not having a tech-free room. We all rely on our little digital devices for our alarms each day. We hit the snooze button, we keep sleeping, we're disturbing our sleep in the middle of the night and we're unaware of it. I know most of us sleep with notifications on, with our sound on, so that we don't miss our alarms. I recommend also just putting your phone on Do Not Disturb. That way, I guess you could have your phone right next to you, although it's not recommended, but at least you won't be interrupting your sleep with your phone screen lighting up or with the notification sounds that come in throughout the night. One thing as well is just having a proper bed routine. One could be just waking up at a certain time and sleeping at a certain time as well. And going back to the tech-free room, I know a lot of us tend to be on our phones a lot before we go to bed. It is also recommended to maybe just swap it out. Instead of being on your phone, swap it out for a book instead, which kind of like helps our brains to wind itself down. And from personal experience, I know it makes me more sleepy when I read a book before bed, probably because reading isn't my thing as much, but something that also helps you out. Now, I'll also be showing you guys a video that kind of just summarizes everything that I've said in these slides, but in a 1 to 2 minute video. Okay, just as a little quick conclusion, sleep is important. It's important that we get our 7 to 9 hours. I know making these changes isn't always easy. We have a lot of things going on in our lives. I would say start somewhere. Either that be swapping your phone out for a book before bed, or finding a time that's good for you to go to sleep at and wake up. You don't have to make big changes. You don't have to follow these tips all at once. Just in a way, put importance to yourself as well. If you have any questions, please let me know, and thank you so much for your time and for listening.